Greetings, I am Agent Blau. If you are watching this, then you have been given security clearance to some of the top levels of worldly knowledge. Please either memorize or copy the information right away, because this message will not be played again. Today we'll be covering the topic of the deep web. The internet has become a place where one can find anything. All a person has to do is look. But for certain taboo items and services, one must go deeper in the web. Hence the title of this area of the internet called the deep web. Also known as the dark web and the new underground, the deep web has placed elements of reality in the web that in real life are close to impossible to find unless you have the right tools and know where to look. The real World Wide Web is comparable to a virtual black market where almost anything can be bought, sold, or traded. While examples of such things can sometimes be found on the surface web, as will be explained later, it is said that the real players for illicit things can only be distributed or talked about on the deep web. But one cannot simply Google deep web and hope to see the dark contents that it contains. Rather, all of these sites are hidden and not indexed by sites like Google and Yahoo, which makes them unsearchable. The user must have an add-on for Firefox, explained later, to hack.
I apologize for the inconvenience. We should be fine now, as long as we do not receive any more interference. As I was saying, these websites do not have a .com, .net, .org, and certainly not a .gov extension, but rather a special one called .onion that can only be accessed with the special add-on called the Onion Router, or TOR for short. How big is the deep web, though? Well, here is an example. Think of it like an iceberg, with the regular normal internet that you see every day as only the tip of it, and the deep web being beneath the water and immense in size. Of course, this is only the most basic of analogies, and does not accurately convey the immense size and complexity of the deep web. In fact, if this image were accurate, it would show that even the iceberg's bottom tip is not where the deep web stops. The deep web would begin halfway down the submerged part of the iceberg and continue all the way down to the ocean floor. And even then there is a deeper part, comparable to an undersea trench, which is what gives it the name, the Marianas Web. But we'll get to that later. The people that populate this region of the net come from all parts of the spectrum, from the FBI and criminal syndicates and hackers and scientists. Of course, they all traverse the deep web with great care and under anonymity, sticking to their own layers and sections of the deep web and using the information down there for their own interests, as should anyone who decides to delve into the deep web. The deep web has been split up into 9 different levels. Although the danger levels are the same, the type of danger changes the deeper you go. The danger goes from legal trouble with copyright laws and the illegal distribution of media to the endangerment of your personal being, whether it be your life or your identity. Now I will go over the different levels of the deep web and what can be found in the first 6, and what is speculated to be found in the last 3. The deep web consists of 9 levels, 6 of which are known and 3 that are unknown or have yet to be proven to exist. The surface web, the part of the web that will be discussed in this section, is the web that normal people go on every day. It contains the first 3 levels. There is little to no danger in surfing the surface web out of these 3 layers. The most danger comes from entering the 3rd layer, but if you hide a proxy site/server, you should have no troubles. A proxy site/server is a computer system that acts like an intermediary between computers, making it so if a user requests something, it goes to the proxy computer instead of the request being traced back to the user. Of course, with the right programs and understanding of the web, people can be traced even through the proxies, so although proxies help keep anonymity on the web, they are not perfect. Level 0, Common Web. This level is the one you browse every day. YouTube, Facebook, Wikipedia, and other famous or easily accessible websites can be found here. Level 1, Surface Web. This level is still accessible through normal means, but contains darker websites such as Reddit. Level 2, Burgy Web. This level is the last one normally accessible. All levels that follow this one have to be accessed with a proxy, DOR, or by modifying your hardware. In this level you can find some underground, but still indexed websites, such as 4chan. After level 2 is where the deep web actually begins. From here on, TOR is required for surfing the sites in these sections of the net. Keep in mind the first 3 levels of the internet are only the tip of the iceberg, with only 10% of the information on the internet being shown on them. The other 90%, even though mostly obsolete files, are contained within the deep web. However, levels 6, 7, and 8 are officially non-existent. Beyond the surface web, levels 0 to 2, from level 3 and on, is what is officially known as the deep web. For what is found in these levels is comparable to what can be found in a black market and other dark areas in the real world. The levels are as follows. Level 3, Deep Web. The first part of this level has to be accessed with a proxy. It contains CP, Gore, hacking websites. Here begins the deep web. The second part of this level is only accessible through TOR and contains more sensible information. Level 4, Charter Web. This level is also divided into 2 parts. The first can be accessed through TOR. Things such as drugs and human trafficking, banned movies and books, and black markets exist there. The second part can be accessed through a hardware modification, a closed shell system. Here things become serious. This part of the charter web contains hardcore CP, experimental hardware information like gadolinium, gallium, garnet, quantum electronic processors, but also darker information, such as the Law of 13, World War II experiments, and even the location of Atlantis. Level 5, Mariana's Web. To gain access to this part of the deep web, a special hardware is necessary. Some argue that you need an old computer and OS, or solve quantum computation mechanics. According to the picture, a polymeric Falke-Goal derivation is needed. Beyond the charter web exists 80% of the internet. What the Mariana's Web contains is unknown. It is rumored to contain government databases and secret information on several conspiracy theories, paranormal events and secret experiments, Hollow Earth, secret societies. Officially, this is very unlikely, and has yet to be proven by someone who really gained access to this part of the internet. The things that can be found on the deep web consist of, and are not limited to, drug dealers, munitions, hitmen, death matches, prostitution, illegal media downloads, child pornography, gore, guides on how to do illegal things, and, on the charter web and below, information on events that governments have covered up. The buying and selling of services and goods on the deep web is beneficial to both the buyers and sellers of these goods and/or services, in that they do not make physical contact with each other and they stay anonymous to each other, other than the fact that they know the buyer wants something from the seller. This is beneficial to them because in the case one gets caught by a policing agency, he or she cannot implicate the other person. But how does a person buy and sell anonymously through the web? Credit cards can be tracked, and the same could be said about large money transactions. The answer to this dilemma was the usage of bitcoins. The reasons as to why the people who inhabit the deep web use Bitcoin is because transactions done with Bitcoins are supposedly anonymous. They are not completely anonymous due to the fact that each Bitcoin transaction has its own IP address that is unique to each one. And if the people knew the person they were dealing with, the Bitcoin transactions can be traced. To counteract this, people have begun to either change their IP address after each transaction, or have started to use TOR, which will be explained later. But what TOR is in short is a more complex version of a proxy going through multiple networks and computers and using them to send requests so they cannot be traced back to the buyer/person requesting the service or good. But this is not where the deep web ends. In fact, it is said that there are 3 more levels, which, although officially there is little proof that they exist, people still say that they do. Past the 5th level, things get to the point where one must ask the question as to whether or not the things that are talked about are real or not. There are people on the web who have apparently gotten past the 5th level and gone beyond. The following levels are officially non-existent. Level 6. What this level contains is unknown. It is apparently an intermediary between the Marianas web and the levels 7 and 8. According to an anonymous user on the 4chan image board, leading hackers have found ways beyond even the 5th layer. At this point, you start getting attention you don't want. Your life is in danger. Quantum computing is needed to get past the 6th layer. To those who do not know what quantum computing is, it is computing that relies on quantum physics by taking advantage of certain quantum physics properties of atoms or nuclei that allow them to work together as quantum bits or qubits to be the computer's processor and memory. By interacting with each other while being isolated from the external environment, qubits can perform certain calculations exponentially faster than conventional computers. The reason as to why quantum computing is needed is because of the vast amount of information in these extreme lower depths of the net. It is very confusing as to what is actually contained in this level because there is little actual proof, but most people believe that the quantum computing is required solely to navigate the massive amounts of data in this level. Level 7. The fog/virus soup. This level is apparently where the big players are. It is pumped full of loads of code to try to prevent people getting deeper. In this level, everyone is fighting to keep others out because of the value of the systems below. The best way to describe level 7 would be a war zone, where it is every man for themselves, where everyone who made it here is trying to get to the 8th level and preventing everyone else from getting there. Level 8. The Primarch System. Level 8 is impossible to access directly. The Primarch system is what controls the internet. No government or organization has control of it. Nobody even knows what it is. This system is an anomaly discovered in the 2000s. It is unresponsive, but sends out unalterable commands to the entire net randomly. The entire 7th level is people trying to gain access to level 8 and stopping others from getting there. Level 8 is thought to be separated by a level-seen quantum TR.001 level function lock, which is virtually impossible for our computers to break. It is highly speculated as to just what is actually in the 8th level of the deep web, for it is known in a sense to be the final boss of the internet, just because people believe that the first person who manages to gain access to it will be able to take control of it. If and when that happens, that one person or group of people who have the power to turn off the internet will have much of the world in its grasp, because the way things are presently, much of the world will not be able to function properly without an internet connection, making it so they would have to do what they are told, or run the risk of the plug being pulled from their country and being left vulnerable to the rest of the world. This concludes all available data. This message will now self-destruct.